In this episode of A Girl and a Gun, we talk the AFI, we talk short films, and we say farewell to cinematographer Gordon Willis. Up next in A Girl and a Gun.
A Girl and a Gun, episode 33, filmed 21st of May 2014, Drop My Shorts.
All you need to make a movie is a girl and a gun. Come along and join the party while we stare at the sun.
Hello, welcome to A Girl and a Gun, the show for filmmakers and content creators. I am Phil Moore, and you are John Maisels.
I am. Hello, Phil,
Hi,
and
John.
hello, everybody.
I've had an interesting week. I've been shooting a short film, in fact.
Well, anything particular topic, or did you just make this up as you go along?
No, just a little film we decided to make, a little drama, which we're going to put into festivals and things later on.
And that gives us a good chance to talk about short films, because the big event of this week, certainly for me and a whole lot of members of the AFI, was a special screening of all the Oscar shorts.
And this is why I bring it up. So what's been happening at the AFI?
Well, firstly, let's just talk about what the AFI is, the Australian Film Institute.
Not to be confused with the American one.
No, but this is the one for Australia. So this is an organisation that's set up, it's not-for-profit, and it is set up to promote people's appreciation of film, of movies. And it's an organisation to which you can belong, you become a member, and there's lots of membership benefits like invitations to special screenings, and in particular, you get the little card that allows you to get a discount at cinemas.
At any movie?
Yeah. So $45 for concession, $55 a year per year for normal mortals.
Yeah.
Or, by the way, a rather bigger discount if you happen to be a member of a related union like the
MEAA or AWG perhaps?
Yeah, and you can make your money back just in what you save going to the movies if you're clever about this. But the great thing is the AFI and now ACTA, which is sort of a spin-off from the AFI, and that's the Australian Academy of Cinema and Television Arts.
AACTA.
AACTA, pronounced ACTA. So you think a bit like the American Academy of Arts and
Sciences.
Cinema, Television Arts and Sciences.
The Oscar people.
The Oscar people, which sort of does the same thing. So this is now ACTA in Australia, and it was created about 3 years ago, and it's building. ACTA/AFI had a special night over here at Bondi Junction at the cinema where there is the ACTA bar.
Okay.
And we had access to one of the big cinemas for the night where we saw all 10 of the Oscar shorts. So the 5 animated shorts and the 5 live action shorts. Yeah. So I thought, we might just talk quickly about what these shorts are, because shorts get, short shrift. And yet, shorts are the way to get into the business. You can produce a short for much less money than you produce a feature film.
And if it becomes a festival entry or an award winner even, yes, it's a lot of bona fides for the filmmaker to do bigger projects.
It looks great on your CV and it looks great on the screen. And there are a lot of people now who are very successful filmmakers who got their start, for instance, just creating entries to go into Tropfest. Because Tropfest is there. This is the encouragement you need to get onto the
And this is why we're talking short films, because the entries for Tropfest open like in June, in a couple of weeks as we record this. So it's like short film festival season's happening.
And indeed, AFI or ACTA also has a short film competition that started up. So this is very much short film week. So look, let's have a look at what these short films are. So there were 5 of them: Get a Horse, Feral Possessions, Room on the Broom.
And that's Get a Horse. That's the original Get a Horse Mickey Mouse cartoon, yeah?
Well, it's not an original Mickey Mouse cartoon. In fact, it's done in the style of, but if you have a look at the very start, the opening credits, it says 2013.
So this is a remake of it?
It's using bits of and in the style of.
A mashup.
The opening credits look exactly like the opening credits of those movies, where they had to do the composite of film segments that weren't quite matched and they bounced against each other.
Yep.
Yeah. Now this is the brainchild of Lauren McMullen, who sort of did this at Disney and created this film. There are bits of Disney in there. There's actually a bit of Walt Disney as Mickey Mouse.
Oh, okay.
The film goes through its opening sequence, and for the first minute and a half, it's exactly like being in the 1920s short.
The original film.
It's exactly like being part of watching Steamboat Willie. And then things start change. So if we watch where this picks up, and this is the gag, and I don't want to show too much of this, but we look at where the action on the screen is throwing Mickey around.
So this is the 2013
This is the
mashup of
2013, yeah, the 2013 version. And as the action proceeds, you see Mickey thrown around by the bad guy until he hits the screen. But he hits the screen from the inside. So, of course, the screen bounces. And he hits the screen from the inside, and the screen bounces. And eventually, he is thrown through the screen.
Right.
Now, at this point, it becomes a monstrous gag. It's in 3D, and it is, I think, the most dramatic exposition of why 3D is valuable that I have ever seen.
So were you able to watch this in 3D?
Yes,
at the
yes, we
screening?
saw, it was the only short that was in 3D, but it is made by virtue of being in 3D, and I think you need to watch it in 3D, because although it's a great film in 2D, it's wonderful, it's colourful, it's funny, it's cute, the real impact is when you see all of this stuff happen, and you get to see stuff happen in front of, on and behind the screen. It breaks down the fourth wall completely.
See, something like this, people have argued this for ages, to have shorts like this at the head of major pictures, like a 3D film, whatever the latest 3D animated film is, and put this at the head of it because it's a 3D short.
It used to be that we did that, and gee, I'd love that to come back. And of course, it's so easy for the cinema to do. Next off the block is Feral, a really interesting animation which features a style where there are no faces. The animator deliberately wanted not to have facial expressions cloud your understanding what the film's about. So it opens with a pack of wolves killing a wild animal to eat, and then we discover this kid. And the kid is obviously also wild. It's very clear that he's naked and he's
Very primal.
Yeah, and he's about to go and attack the wolf pack in order to get some food for himself. Now, right as this happens, a hunter comes along, sees all this happening, and realises the kid has obviously been lost, abandoned at an early age, and the kid should be taken back to civilization. So now we have the basis for the classic fish out of water
Like Jungle
story.
Book or that kind of thing.
Like all of those, where we experience the character being in what we think is a familiar environment, but which is completely alien to the character. Well, we see him go through his sort of like reintegration with society, and it becomes pretty obvious when we pick up this scene, like where he's at school, and he is starting to interact with one of his fellow school kids, and we see the two of the kids mimicking each other on the playground, but without real comfort as to who's actually leading who. They're imitating each other, but we're not sure who's in charge. Eventually, it all comes off the rails. The kid just does not integrate into the society. He reverts to the only state that he really understands. And this is all told without being able to see anybody's eyes or faces.
You can't see the faces there, so
No.
you're still getting a sense of the emotions from the characters, from the physicality of the movement.
Just from the movement. So there it is. So there's a great clip on YouTube that shows the making of, and that's where we got this video from.
Right.
So really good, Feral. Possessions is the next one, and this is a classic Japanese animation.
Love Japanese animation.
It's a very 2D style, big swatches of colour, a very simple plot. An artisan of some sort. We don't really know what he is until halfway through the segment. He's sloshing through a storm. He takes refuge in a hut that has been there. And at this point, we're taken back to a very short couple of words that we saw in English at the beginning that says, after 100 years of being idle, tools take on a personality. So he gets into this hut, and the hut comes to life while he's asleep.
Why not? It's an animation.
Absolutely. And so he's in the middle of this hut with all this colour, and the things that have been abandoned in the hut are clamouring for his attention. And it turns out he is a fix-it man, and he fixes them all. So we see him here in the hut as he discovers
What fine umbrellas.
which have been abandoned. And these are also like umbrellas, a bit like, little umbrellas that go in drinks, but get tossed away. And he pulls out from his tools what he needs to go and fix them, and then he fixes up the umbrellas, at which point you have these sort of personalised personality umbrellas which are, have taken on some life, and they're all very happy again. He goes through fixing up some pieces of cloth. He
So we can see all
constantly
that there,
being
yeah.
given challenges by the inmates, and he just reacts to all of them by, I can help you, and he helps them all. And at the end, of course, he wakes up, the storm has gone, he leaves, but he has an umbrella, and he has the piece of cloth, and he has the
Well,
things that he's helped
It goes
fix.
to show it just takes a very simple story well done,
Yeah.
and you can become an Oscar contender.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no dialogue in this at all. It's just all music and colour and picture. The fourth one, Room on a Broom. I really love this. This is a kid's tale. This is a classic kid's
Aren't they
tale.
all kids' tales?
Yeah, but this is a classic kid's tale of good versus evil and good triumphing over evil, but how it only happens if you all cooperate. So we start in Room on the Broom, meeting the witch. The witch has a hat. The witch has a broom. The witch has a cat. You can see
cat, the broom.
This is very Seuss-like.
Yeah.
And we meet the witch, the hat, and the cat, and the witch's cauldron. In the early scenes, the witch uses the cauldron to cast a spell with some very colourful, bright red mushrooms, wonderful, and creates a dragon who will later on appear in the story to threaten all these characters. But as we go through, the witch meets, firstly, a dog, and the dog says, oh, hello, I'd like to join you. The cat goes, nah, no way. And the witch goes, yeah. So the dog joins the troop.
Yeah, they got the
and then
dog,
they
and
meet
then-
a bird, and the bird says, I'd like to join you and the dog. And the witch goes, nah. The dog and the cat go, nah. And the witch goes, yeah. And then they meet the frog, and the frog wants to join the bird, the dog, the cat,
right.
and yeah, blah, blah. And you can see, so eventually there's all of these people on the broom just making it. But all along the way, there are little problems that they have to solve that get solved because the characters pitch in and help. Well, right at the end, there's a massive problem that only gets solved because all the characters help. So they all go off into the distance, living happily ever
So it's
after.
your basic moral tale.
Oh yeah, it's a
cooperation,
very
all that,
lovely,
yeah.
very lovely story.
And the animation looks very straightforward and simple, nicely done, but nothing too flamboyant, so to speak.
No,
So, and again,
no.
a very simple story, well told. Yeah?
Again, very, very, very beautiful. The final one, Mr. Hublot. Now, this you can see why this won.
No
the
relation to
Oscar.
Monsieur Hulot?
No relation, not even homage, not even vaguely. This is a movie set in a sort of a future where everybody is slightly mechanical. And we meet Mr. Hublot in the early scenes. We discover that he's also very OCD and very compulsive and very idiosyncratic as he moves through his house, turning light switches on and off and adjusting things, and everything's got to be just right. Sort of reminds me of Jack Nicholson in the movie.
As Good as It Gets.
In As Good as It Gets. Well, in this one, it's obvious that Mr. Hublot is going to meet somebody who is going to create disorder in his ordered life, and that's a dog. And what happens to Mr. Hublot and the dog is the journey through this story. So we're in this sort of weird, futuristic, mechanical universe
Oh, there we go. There's a clip of it.
where things are sort of familiar but just a little different. The OCD behaviour here, he's got to turn the lights on and off. He has to adjust the pictures just so.
So this is a 3D animated film.
No, this is
Well,
not
stop
3D.
motion,
This
actually.
is just 2D.
This is
No,
stop-
this is just animation.
That's what I mean. Not stereoscopic. I mean it's 3D animated, as in CGI. 3D.
Well, who knows?
But it
is
looks like
probably
almost stop motion
CGI.
the way
Yeah,
it's done.
it's probably CGI because these days everything is.
As opposed to the 2Ds that we saw with
2Ds
the,
and cells.
The cell that
the
animation,
look
yeah.
that they had with the Disney thing, which is probably also animated in a very modern way.
But it's good to see some of these still being the old-fashioned cell type animation, like the Japanese one, and a combination of ones like that which were 3D animated.
Yeah.
But all, again, very simple stories, well told.
All
This is
really
the-
gorgeous
This is the
stuff.
beauty of short films, actually.
Yeah. And I must say, if I hadn't been invited to the AFI night, I probably would not have got to see these movies. It's like short films are there and it only takes a couple of minutes to watch, but I actually hadn't taken the time to watch any of these. beforehand. So again, one of the great things you can do as an AFI member, particularly if you're a professional member, is you get to go and vote on the award winners. So you get to go and see a lot of stuff.
So for the Australian
produced
films,
locally.
Australian entries at the AFI Awards.
At the AFI Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a professional member, and to be a professional member, you really just need to have done something. You need to have your name on a screen credit in something that has been seen on screen.
Well, thank you for that, because I didn't get to go to that screening. I was interested to see what they came up with.
I think you should try to get and see some of them, and definitely if you have the opportunity to go and see Get a Horse in 3D, you know, claw over everybody to do it.
Yeah, see, I don't know if that's running in any cinemas. It'd be great to have it before a feature.
Oh, wouldn't it be fabulous?
We, one of the reasons we did this, we don't have a lot of news this week, but there is one key news item this week that I did want to talk about. It's the passing of Gordon Willis, cinematographer for The Godfather films and for Woody Allen for films like Annie Hall and Manhattan. He's one of the great cinematographers, in fact, of the world, and he just passed this week. We actually have lined up an interview that he did, which was released just a month ago, so it must be a very recent interview. We've got Gordon here talking a little bit about his work on The Godfather.
Rather masterpieces, the godfather of modern cinematography, Mr. Gordon Willis. Thank you for being here.
Oh, delighted. I can throw mud at people now. Or...
Yeah, well, that was my next step.
Yeah, right.
Something we have to get out of the way.
Yeah,
You look at the history of film,
right,
the images.
right.
There's some extremely memorable images from cinema history. The sled at the end of Cain, Dorothy and her friend skipping down the yellow brick road, the split face in Persona, the shot of Marlon Brando, the beginning of The Godfather, with dark pools under his eyes, and a man being asked essentially for blood justice.
Right.
Did you know that you were making history?
Basically, you don't know any of those things when you're working. What you do is focus up on what it is you're doing and do what you want to do to make what you're doing at that moment work.
Right.
I've never thought of anything as being iconic. Usually if somebody finishes a movie and says, this is the greatest movie we ever made, we had a great time, usually a piece of junk because they were too busy having a good time.
What was so innovative about that shot? I mean, the easy answer is my understanding it's a wide, big, top soft, top source of light, but I don't know.
Well, you're looking for the formula. You know, there is no formula.
And he goes on, it's quite a good interview, so check that out. That was from, what was the website? I forgot, it was up there now.
It was you thingy somewhere.
Yeah.
I love that. There is no formula.
There is no formula. I say this to my students, in fact. There is no formula in the writing. There's a structure, and there is a common practice and protocols, but when it comes down to the creativity of it, whatever works.
Yeah, break
whatever
the
gets the
rules.
effect you want.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon. Being our short film show, we actually have a couple of Pick My Brain questions that relate directly to short films. So let's run those Pick My Brain questions. Short films are known to kickstart directors' careers. How important is it for an up-and-coming director to work on short films?
Well, the obvious answer is...
I think she
this-
just answered it for herself.
Well, I
then.
think she did. This is how you do it on the cheap. Nobody's going to, you know, unless you happen to have a lot of money in your pocket, nobody's going to give you a feature film to do as your first exercise without ever having produced anything, without ever having said, I can tell a story. This can leap out and engage
That's right.
the
Well, yeah,
audience.
to do a feature, apart from the scope of the project, it's also a lot more expensive, generally speaking.
Yeah. So a short film is a way
short
of
film,
getting on the horse.
It can indeed kickstart your career if you have a successful film that does well in festivals and gets into what we were just talking about, that kind of thing. It also gives you a chance to work on many different genres, many different types of stories, comedies, dramas, working with different actors, different kinds of people. It's just a great experience on a lot of different things. And they can take a day to shoot, a week to shoot. They can be really simple and guerrilla or really complicated and take a week, you know, and have visual effects. And you learn a lot of different crafts just by doing short films of that nature.
Yeah. I must say, when we show some of the short films, that the non-animated, the live-action shorts from the Oscars, one of them, That Wasn't Me, which was sort of like set somewhere in Africa, was a short film, but the production values were astonishing on that, blowing up a whole village.
In fact, I had a question, I was at a screening of some of our films this week, and I got a question from a young girl who wants to get into filmmaking, and she was telling me about the story that she wants to make, but there's no dialogue in it, so she didn't have a script. So you've got to write a script. Even if there's no dialogue, you've got to have a script. And the story she was telling me was very similar to an old film that I knew called The Red Balloon. which is an Oscar winner for a short film. You know, a brilliant film which, from the 1950s, a French film. So you need to look up these things. A short film can absolutely make an impact and have worldwide appeal, like these ones that we talked about that are coming up in the AFI.
But I agree with you. There's no point in going on board to tell a story if you can't actually articulate the story.
Yeah.
So whether you choose to use or not use dialogue in the final production, you should have a very clear understanding of what the story is.
And
be
some of
able
the
to
films you
articulate
refer to just then had little or no dialogue.
Yeah,
Many
yeah,
of them.
yeah.
Yeah, but they told a great story.
And by the way, it doesn't mean that the story has to be really obvious to everybody in the first frame. So some of the short films I've seen, you really get 3/4 of the way through the film before you even understand what is going on. Well, that's a style, that's enigma.
It is, as long as it doesn't bore. As long as it's interesting and keeps your interest up and doesn't get boring.
Half an hour of interest while you try to work out what the story is.
It is important for up-and-coming directors to work on short films. It's a great training ground. It's cheaper, and you can go with your friends, or you can get budget, you can get financing from Screeners as well, and those sort of bodies, as an inexperienced director to go out and do shorts. Question number 2 from Hussein. So you've made a short film.
Yes.
What can you do to get it seen?
Well, I'd give it back to Hussein and say, show this somewhere.
Show this
Look,
somewhere.
What can you do to get it? Well, first thing to do would be invite all your friends to a screening. Now, I don't know, you've shot enough short films here. Does this work for you, or do they end up not being your friends?
You can, depending on how you make it. If you do it at a college, the college will usually have a screening.
Yeah.
If you've done it independently, you can organise what we call a 4-wall screening. We did this recently with the group I'm involved with. We showed a little mini festival of 6 short films.
Yeah.
All together. We booked a theatre, advertised it, audience came. It wasn't just family and friends, it was open to the public. And people come and they loved it. We had applause, we had laughs. It was great to see your films on the big screen getting an audience reaction.
Excellent.
Short of that, which is paying for a cinema, get them into festivals.
But promoting a film yourself and paying for a cinema, I mean, that's a really tough thing, and it's expensive.
A lot of independent cinemas are really happy to do an event like this. We ran this at the Paradiso, for example, up at Ettalong. They just took a share of the ticket price. The Evoca Cinema, where we've done a similar thing, they helped with the marketing, the advertising. It was a very simple deal.
So when you did this, was it profitable?
Yes. You get enough people, it's profitable.
Okay, so
don't go to Hoyts or anything, go to the small independent cinemas to do this.
But so then advertising, marketing and advertising and getting your audience in there under whatever pretext would obviously be key to that.
And collaborate with some colleagues who have their own short films, make a little mini screening of it all.
Okay, now let me ask the really obvious question though. To get an audience, the easiest audience you get is the people in your house, probably the people who've watched you with a great deal of pain put this thing together over some period, your family, your friends. Is that a good thing to do, or is that really the last resort audience and you shouldn't do it?
That is good to do for the cast and crew, family and friends to come and see the film on the big screen. It's just very gratifying. It is good, however, to get general public people who love short films but don't know you or anyone else involved in this, and if you get a genuine reaction from that general public, then you know it's working. You can't trust the family and friends necessarily to give you an honest opinion sometimes.
But what you're looking for is the audience that has that ooh moment. They go,
yes.
And you know you've got them.
And the laughs where they're meant to laugh and all of that kind of stuff, exactly.
They don't laugh at the wrong place like when the credits come up.
And the other one is Without a Box, which is the website. On withoutabox.com, practically any film festival in the world is listed up there. Put your film up there, get it listed, and then you can enter it into any of the short film festivals around the world. Tropfest, for example, is coming up. It opens for entries next month. It happens in December. Some of you out there are probably making a film specifically for Tropfest, which is a 7-minute short. Right. It's got to have the mirror, which is their signature item this year.
Right.
It can be 15 minutes though. Other film festivals will take that. Up to 30 minutes, other film festivals will take them. Comedies, horror, drama, all sorts of genres. There are festivals for almost any kind of film you want to make.
And check the AFI website, because there's the opportunity now to enter the competition that's up there for through AFI.
And I would say do that for about a year. Try to get into festivals. Then maybe talk to SBS, ABC Open online. Lots of places. If none of that fails, at least you can get them on YouTube and get the world to see it.
Okay.
All right.
That's the answer.
Thank you very much, John, for joining us. That's Another Girl and a Gun in the can. Thank you all for watching. You can reach Veronica at agirlandagun.tv or tweet us at agirlandagun. But for now, that's a wrap.